When you're getting ready for vacation, what are some of the things that you often pack? Of course, clothes, sunscreen, maybe a portable phone charger. But what about additional insurance? Today we've got Ginny Maurer with A Cruise Planners here to discuss travel insurance. She's going to answer questions that you have, so you can text us your questions. The number at the bottom of your screen, 336-379-5775. Hey Ginny, before we even get to the travel insurance, and I'm sure this figures into this first question anyway, this week was crazy for travelers, and I'm guessing it was crazy for you because they were calling you, asking you to fix it.
Absolutely. Air delays have been insane. But a great thing that most of my clients do have travel insurance. So paid for a lot of the expenses that they had or parts of the trips that they were missing. But it has been nuts.
Okay, so let's get to the travel insurance. Let's just kind of do a broad scope thing. What does travel insurance cover?
So travel insurance, we really need to look at kind of the different types of policies. So one of the main things to look at is, is it just for cancellation or is it covering everything? So, you have to consider when we're booking far out, you have no idea what's going to happen between the day you book it and the day you travel. So we're looking at things like storms, flight delays, whether you get ill before you travel. So there's all kinds of stuff that is involved that people don't consider with travel insurance.
All right, so let me ask you this. Do you have to buy travel insurance on the day that you're booking your trip, or is it something that you can do afterwards when you think about it and you're like, oh yeah, I wouldn't want to lose this money for doing this, this, and this?
Yeah, so you absolutely can do it. As a general rule, we suggest that you do it up front. Most of it is based on age. So one, especially if you're going to hit that next bracket, you want to get it, but doing it up front, then you're covered. And that's when you really at that point have money involved. The other thing is if you have a pre-existing condition, and we'll talk a little bit more about different types of cancellations, there's a deadline as to when it can be purchased.
Okay, so know that it is available for you to purchase later, but there are a few stipulations, right? All right, so there are some travel insurance policies that cover cancellation for any reason, no matter what. Not all policies do it that way, but there are some that can do that.
Absolutely. You generally would not, well, and again, it depends. Some would actually still give you a full refund. Others get all the other benefits, but you can cancel up until the time of, for example, if your first flight actually takes off. You don't get as much back, but you definitely get a large percentage back. And I've had people call that, do that. I had someone who called last minute because her dog sitter canceled on her. So she had to cancel. Obviously, insurance doesn't consider a dog sitter a covered reason.
Okay, so but then what happened with that?
So she was actually, because she had to cancel anytime, any reason insurance, she was actually able to get 80% of her full trip cost back.
Okay, all right, so that's good to know. All right, so can you purchase travel insurance, let's say this, if you know that like a storm is coming, and it's going to hit the island that you're going to or something of that nature?
No, when we're talking about storms, insurance must be purchased before a storm is named. So another good reason to purchase it when you actually deposit your reservation.
Okay, so when you see, oh my gosh, there's something brewing out there, I wish maybe I should get storm insurance, you better do it, yeah, well before it's named. Okay, now what to look for when you are looking at a travel insurance policy? Because I'm sure it's like all the other kinds of things. There's 1,000,001 different variations.
You're right. There are 1,000,001 variations. So one of the main things that I mentioned a little bit ago is it covering just cancellation or is it covering all the way through your vacation? So anything that may happen while you're traveling. You want to look at, is it covering, if you cancel, are you going to get money back or just a credit? You also want to consider the value. What are you getting back? Is it covering? A lot of people will say they have insurance maybe through their credit card, but it's very limited and maybe the cost of their trip is higher than that. Other thing, and there's all kinds of pieces and parts. One of the things that people don't consider, and I think today in today's times, is it covering supplier default? If that company that you booked with or the hotel goes out of business, are you still covered? So that's a real important one. And are flight delays covered? That is extremely important these days.
Yeah, flight delays, suppliers, and then I think to myself, and it's different between travel insurance and medical insurance?
So some travel insurance, actually a good policy will cover your medical, because once you are out of the United States, 95% of all US health insurance policies do not cover you outside of the US. So, especially if my families are traveling, you never know what's going to happen with kids. One of the things I think it's important to look at in a good policy is, and people don't realize, especially if you maybe have an elderly family member that's staying at home, or you have kids staying at home and you're traveling, if something happens to them, you want to be able to get back to them right away. So a good policy will cover that also.
Okay, lots of different variables there. All right, now how much should we expect that travel insurance will cost? Because you're thinking to yourself, well, then this is going to cost me as much as my entire experience, or what?
So a good policy is going to cover, it's going to cost anywhere from about 7 to 12%. Again, it is dependent on age. Obviously, the older you are, the little bit more expensive, and it also depends on what state you reside in.
Okay, so 7 to 12% of the total amount of your trip. And it depends on your state, and it also depends on your age. All right, good to know. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We've got a few of your questions already coming up. We want you to make sure that you put in your questions. 336-379-5775. We'll be right back.